Hello everybody, welcome back to another election prediction video. This time I'm covering the new 2024 election polls for the month of May 2024. So we're nearing the first few debates because we actually got a debate going on in late June, believe it or not. So far there's two debates scheduled. I'm pretty sure it's in June and I believe September or August. It might be August. But again, so far there's two debates confirmed, and currently Trump, he had a bit of a rebound in the polls, I would say, because Biden was gaining before, and now we're going to see Trump doing a bit better in some of the polls, and some polls actually show Biden doing better from previous pollsters that had him down more to Trump, so it's all over the place, basically. But this is just a state-by-state analysis. We're not looking at any national polls. So, yeah, we have a few interesting ones we could talk about. But first, I'm going to set up most of the safe Republican states that are really just not going to be competitive. Okay, I think we're almost done setting all the safe ones up. Ohio and Iowa, again, I'll just show you on this map here in Race to the White House. Again, Trump's up by 11 in Ohio, and Trump's up by 12 in Iowa, so these are just safe red states. Utah, let me take a look at here. Yeah, Utah, he's up by 20 now with a new poll that was added to the aggregate there. Let's head to the safe Democratic states. Hawaii is obviously safe Democratic. Let's see if they even did a poll there. Interesting, there is one poll there. I actually want to see that. I wonder if it was recent or from like forever ago. Because that margin isn't that amazing for Biden here. Bullfinch. Oh, they're a joke pollster. They just want to know how much of a joke Bullfinch is. I'll show you their Washington poll, which is going to drag down the aggregate here in this polling video. But yeah, one of their polls actually shows Trump up by 1 percentage point in Washington. No other pollster shows this, by the way, just Bullfinch. So I don't really trust him that much as a pollster, but they will drag down the average here in Washington to only a likely blue Biden victory. Alaska, I'm pretty sure, is just still safe Republican. Let's take a look. Yeah, recent polls here have Trump up pretty big in the state of Alaska. So going on to the next few states, I guess we could go to New York. Most polls actually show here Biden up by double digits still, so it's really not going to be competitive. I was actually polled. My house was polled in New York because there's a recent, I'm pretty sure it was Rasmussen that did a poll here that called my house up. It was either Rasmussen, I think it was. But yeah, my house actually got polled in the state of New York, which is actually pretty cool. So people usually say they never get polled, but sometimes they do if you pick up an unknown number. New Jersey poll only has Biden up here by 8 percentage points, so it is in the likely blue column. New Hampshire, there hasn't been any recent polls here. The last one was done back in January, but it had Biden up by 7. In Maine, it's actually more competitive than New Hampshire. It would put it down to about a lean blue margin according to the polls, and Trump's just up by a lot in Maine's 2nd district, which is probably why Maine might shift a bit more Republican in 2024, just due to that overperformance there. Pretty sure a poll in Illinois also has him up here by 12, but let's see how recent those polls are. Again, there's not a lot of recent polls here, but I think we should just average out the polls here because there really hasn't been any polls done in Illinois in 2024. So it's still a safe blue state. Colorado would also put in a likely blue column, same with New Mexico. In Texas and Florida. So Florida, it's just been a lot of Trump +9 polls, so it's teetering on that Trump +10 victory. I honestly expect Trump to probably win this state by over 10, just by the trends here, but so far it's 9 or 8% lead here on average for Trump. So almost a safe state. Texas as well, let's take a look. It's also in the likely Republican column, but I just want to check by how much. Yeah, 9 or 8 percentage points, sometimes 7. So about like an 8% average or so. But still a likely Republican column. Georgia, Trump is just polling extremely well here. Some polls he's even doing better in Georgia than North Carolina. I mean, judging by the average here, Trump's up here by 5.4, and Trump's up in North Carolina by 5. So both North Carolina and Georgia are Republican, like likely are. But again, North Carolina thinks actually going to be voting very close to how Georgia votes in 2024, I believe. It's going to be pretty similar. I think they're going to see that gap between them narrow up. In Nebraska's second, they finally did a poll here, and Trump's actually up here by 3 percentage points. But at the end of the day, I don't expect that to happen. I think Biden's going to catch up there. There's a lot of undecideds that will probably end up breaking for Biden in Nebraska's second. It's like 47 to 44, that poll showed it as. Don't expect Trump to win there. Trump's own pollster actually shows a very close race in Virginia, 1 percentage lead for Biden here. But other polls also show it as a 3 to 4 point lead for Biden, but that's still into the lean blue column according to the polls. Moving on to Nevada and Arizona. Nevada, New York Times did a very interesting poll here that I saw on Twitter that had Trump up here by 13 to 14 points, depending on the sample. So that's a safe margin of victory here for Trump here. But another poll, Emerson, shows it only as a 1 to 2 point lead. So really just averaging out, it's a 6 percentage lead for Trump in the state of Nevada. So polls are all over the place here. It's really hard to poll this state. But a potential explanation is maybe Latinos are just shifting very right wing in Nevada and Arizona. That could explain why Nevada is just so Republican in the polls. I mean, that's the really only explanation that Biden's doing way worse with Latino voters. But so far, the polls have Trump at as a pretty stable lead in the state of Nevada, but it's all over the place. Arizona as well, even though I expected the New York Times will show some movement in favor of Biden, it looks like Biden lost a percentage point compared to the last New York Times poll conducted in Arizona, which is pretty surprising. So again, maybe Arizona will end up going for Trump because it looks like that abortion or that potential abortion ban that almost happened in Arizona would help the Dems, but it turns out that the polls still have Trump ahead here, surprisingly, which is pretty interesting. I might have to change my official Arizona rating in the next video come June. But again, Trump's up here by about an average of 4 percentage points, which is a lean Republican margin. And we're down to the 4 Rust Belt states. Minnesota is pretty interesting because Trump's own pollster actually showed Trump up here with the 3 percentage point lead. But still, other pollsters like Survey USA and another Minnesota pollster, let's just scroll up here. Let's get to Minnesota's polls. Other pollsters here still have it as a relatively 2 percentage point lead. So I would rather believe the other pollsters here than Trump's pollster. It's pretty much at a left field here, showing Trump up with a lead here, especially at 49%, which is a pretty sizable margin for Trump in the state of Minnesota, which he never got to that percentage point in 2020 or 2016. So going back here, I would still put Minnesota in the lean blue column, but I think it'll be a potential swing state that I think Trump would be. I think Trump spending time in Virginia is a bad idea, but him spending time in Minnesota, I think, isn't that bad of an idea considering Biden's only up there by 2 percentage points, and Hillary only barely won this state back in 2016. She really underperformed here, so I don't think it's that bad of an idea for Trump to target Minnesota, because it could help him with the Electoral College math. All right, so going forward, we're going to go to the state of Wisconsin, which actually has Biden up in the average by a 0.1% lead. The New York Times poll also even has Biden up here, so it isn't just the Quinnipiac poll here that's helping out Biden. When you go to registered voters in the New York Times poll, Biden actually has a 1 percentage point lead, and I'll just show you guys that. So there's other polls actually showing Biden up here. See? Registered voters, he leads by 2. Trump's up by 1 with likely voters. So I guess we should average them out. That would probably come up to a 0.5% Biden lead. But again, so far Biden's up on the aggregate in the state of Wisconsin by a tilt blue margin. Going over to Michigan, finally, Biden started leading in some polls in the state of Michigan, which he desperately needs to win this state, in my opinion. I think he probably needs to win Michigan and Pennsylvania to have a realistic path to victory. But there's been some polls out, New York Times, showing Biden up with a 1% lead, and the registered voter sample is very far off here. We'll show you that. It's interesting to see how much of a disconnect we have here, because with the registered voters, it's a 7-point lead for Trump, but among likely voters, it's a 1% lead. So I don't know what's going on with the registered and likely voter sample here. It kind of just doesn't really make sense to me how it could be this far spread apart. But so far, Trump still narrowly leads in Michigan by a decent average, but I would say it's probably like a very close tilt state. In my own personal view, I'd put it as a tilt margin for the polls here. So Trump is up here by a tilt Republican margin, which is pretty much within the margin of error. Moving on to the state of Pennsylvania, in-state pollsters have Biden up, while out-of-state pollsters have Trump leading in the state. New York Times found him up by 3. On average, I believe it's pretty much under 1% here. But looking at the most recent polls, however, that would probably boost him up beyond 1% if we're looking at late April and early May polls. So this, by the polling, Trump would be up here by a over 1 percentage point margin currently. I mean, there's no poll that shows Biden up here that's been conducted in late April and early May, so Trump has a narrow advantage, a bigger advantage Pennsylvania than Michigan, according to the most recent polls here. So, judging by this electoral map, Biden's victory, honestly, the best path for him is win Pennsylvania, win Michigan, win Nebraska second, and that's just enough to win the general election. So that's a very doable path, and looking at how bad Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina are polling for Biden currently, that might be the path he should honestly go with. Because right now, he is polling very well in Wisconsin. Maybe I really did underrate Biden's potential at winning the state in my last prediction in May. Maybe Wisconsin's going to be more Democratic than Arizona in 2024, surprisingly. I might have to readjust my prediction next time based on that. Because so far, Biden still hasn't led in a poll in Arizona. Even the New York Times poll showed a shift in favor of Trump here from their last poll conducted. And in Wisconsin, Biden still has a good amount of strength. The potential explanation for that is Biden's holding his own among white voters and white working class voters in the Rust Belt states. It's just him doing worse with minorities like Latinos, black voters, Muslim/Arab voters. That potential underperformance is what's hurting Biden. I would say Latino voters, probably Nevada and Arizona, is probably what is hurting Biden the most, I would say. Because I do expect Latino voters to shift a bit more right-leaning come in 2024, because that kind of seems to be the trend at this point. However, I don't think Trump's going to do so amazing with young voters like some polls are suggesting. He's not going to win the millennial vote. Those are still going to vote Democratic at the end of the day. And he's not going to do as well with black voters like the polls suggesting. I just don't see that actually materializing here. I still think Biden's going to do pretty well with black voters. We saw him do pretty well with them back in the primaries here. Wasn't that big of a protest vote among black voters? It was really more among young voters and Arab/Muslim voters that we saw that protest vote and uncommitted get a big vote tally in the primaries. But so far, Biden's best path to victory remains with sweeping the 3 Rust Belt states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and winning Nebraska second. But currently, polls have shown that Trump is just narrowly ahead in Michigan, PA, and Nebraska second, which I don't think it's going to happen. Nebraska second, it's going to go back to Biden. But so far, polls have Trump at a narrow advantage against Joe Biden. So let me know what you think of this video in the comments down below, and let me know what other video ideas you want to see in the future. I'll be open to doing them. Other than that, if you're new to the channel, highly recommend subscribing if you enjoy videos like this. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.